All right. We're looking at a plan here that is going to have a double-sided piece, meaning that there's joints on both sides. So this is the front of the cabinet. Drawer down here, there's going to be some doors and then some open spots. And right here is the back view. And we can zoom in a little bit on the back view and see that we are planning to have these dadoed in on both sides. And we're not going very deep because if we were to go half the thickness like normal from one direction, and half the thickness from the other, we would be all the way through that. So we're only going to come in about 1/8 of an inch in depth on both from both sides. So this middle divider is an example of where we would see a piece that is double-sided where we might have to cut this on the CNC router. So let's take a look at how we would set this up. All right, we're going to show you how to make a piece so you can cut both sides of it. So for example, this piece right up here, this outside edged piece needs to be cut on both sides. And we need to have these dados on both sides. So what I'm going to first do is draw a new box around here. And what this needs to do is be a little bit bigger than my existing box. And so this is going to be the first cut, and it's going to cut out the outside shape. And then what we're going to do is flip it over, and it's going to be attached in here. We're going to put some holes in here so we can index it when we turn it over. So what I'm going to first do is just get this box roughed in. It doesn't have to be anything perfect here, right, to go with. And I'm going to just try to make it fit because we do want to fit on this sheet of plywood. I'm going to bring it in to the edge here and then maybe move it over. It's just giving us something to hold on to right now. But I do want it a little bit longer, especially since we have that room right here. So now that this can fit on here, I'm going to position it so it's on the white space so that we're not hanging off. And I'm going to make it fit as best I can. So I don't want these to overlap. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Oops. I don't want everything highlighted when I do it. I just want this outside box. And so I'm going to move this box up a little bit. And we need to move the whole thing down. So I'm going to highlight that and move that down to fit on there. And we might have to bring this just down just a little bit more to fit on there. So maybe something like that. So we've got this extra border around there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find, I want this centered in there, really I do. So I'm going to click on this piece. And I'm going to find where the center is. So I'm going to use move selected objects. I got the center clicked. And in the X position, I am 12.35. I'm going to copy that number, okay? 3596. Copy that. And then I'm going to hit close. I don't need to move it. But I want to move this one now. And I'm going to do the same thing, hit move. And what we're looking for is these two numbers to match. I'm going to go Control V to paste that in there and apply. And now they should be at the same distance centered wise. You could do that up and down as well. We could take this piece and click the move button and find what the center is up and down and copy that and do the same thing here. Highlight that box and move that. And I'm going to paste that number into there so that it's centered in that orientation. So now we're going to need to draw a circle. I'm going to use this circle tool right here and draw a circle. I'm going to click that and come out here. Now it's telling me that if I'm doing the diameter or radius, and I want the diameter picked, and I'm going to pick 3/8. We're going to use a 3/8 dowel for this. So I'm going to put 0.375, enter. It's pretty small, and that's fine. What I'm going to do is take the center of this piece, and that was 12.3. I'm going to copy that number again, and I'm going to now take it to this circle, and I can either open up the move or the circle tool. It doesn't matter. I got the centered picked, and I'm going to go the X, and I'm going to put that in the center of that piece. So that's going to be there, and we're going to do the same thing down here again. So I'm going to click the circle tool over here in the toolbar, and I'm going to pick and draw a 3/8 diameter, 0.375, enter. And I'm going to put that in the X position at that coordinates and create. Now it's a little high for us. So if I just select that, I can use my arrow tools to push it down. I don't want to move it from right or left. I just want to move it down. So I want to keep it centered on there. That one looks pretty good. So now when we're going to go set up our toolpaths, we're going to click on this switch to the toolpath command here. And when I select this, I'm going to actually pick these two circles, and I'm going to hold shift and select both of them. And you can see they are pink. And I'm going to do a pocket because I want to carve out the middle of that. And I want to go all the way through. So I'm going to go 0.75. And we're going to use the 1/4 inch end mill. That's fine. And I'm going to put on here 3/8 or just holes. And I'm using a 0.25 bit. And I am going to calculate that. Now, when you see these red lines, that's just the movement the tool is going to do to cut those holes. So the machine's going to start down here in the home position. It's going to come down here, drill this hole, and then come down here and drill this hole. So those red lines, you don't need to be too worried about those. Those are just the movement of the machines. So I'm going to go back to my 2D view up here in the left-hand corner and click on that. And now when we cut the outside lines, so I'm not going to pick this one, but I'm going to pick this one in here instead. And this is where I'm going to set my tool path. And I'm going to come in here. I'm going to set it to go 0.7 inches deep or 0.68, somewhere in there, to cut most of the way through. And I'm going to go outside. I want to be cutting outside the vectors. And this is a bigger piece, so I probably don't need a tab on this. That's okay. And I'm going to put on here outside of double-sided piece, 0.25. So I know what the cut is and calculate. So that's the outside edge. And now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do that again. And I'm going to set this outside piece to cut all the way through this time. So 0.75. And again, this allows me, the machine, to put all the pressure on there that it needs to go around and cut. And then on the very last pass, it's only taken off about 0.5 of an inch. And so when I come here, it thinks it's going to cut all the way through. So I'm going to edit my passes and change this to be 1. That way I don't need the tabs, and it gives me a nice clean cut when I'm done. And I want to be outside again. That looks good. And I'm going to go outside, double side, second pass, 0.25. And calculate. We need to set up the dado cuts right here. And I'm going to hold shift and select this one, and right here. I'm going to come up here to my pocket toolpath, and I'm going to make sure that we're setting the right depth. So I had this set for cutting holes last. We were going all the way through. So I want to make sure I change this. We only want to be going, since they're going to be dados on both sides of this, we don't want to cut all the way through or halfway through. If we go halfway on this side and then flip the board over and do halfway again, that would be all the way through. So I'm only going to go about 1/8 of an inch deep. That's enough to give my wood a little lip to sit on. So that should be good. We're going to go 0.125 inches deep. And I'm going to come back here and change this. This is going to be dado double side, just so I can keep my things oriented together. And so that's only going about 1/8 of an inch deep for those cuts. Right now, I've got all my tool paths for this double-sided piece set up, and you could set up the rest of the stuff to cut out in the one sheet, but this is particularly talking about the double-sided piece. So I want to see what that's going to look like on my piece. I'm going to hit this preview tool paths, and if I click reset just to clear everything off and then preview tool paths, it's going to show me all my cuts. And if I circle around and look, you can see I've got my dados in there. My dados aren't very deep. They should only be 1/8 of an inch deep. And we are cutting all the way through on the holes and the groove. That's what we want to do. Okay. So what this is going to allow us to do, our 2D view, it's going to allow us to cut out this piece so we can move it around. And it's going to have holes so that we can line this up. So again, if you have any questions with how to do this double-sided cutting, please talk to your instructor.